Hello, everybody. Hello, people of YouTube. I am just basically doing a quick unboxing today of this game, Colonial 1700 to 1800. And it's a really interesting game for me because basically I designed kind of the core game that it's based on or built upon. I think you could call it a reimplementation, almost kind of a spiritual successor or second edition to the game that I made like about a decade ago now. This was 1750 Britain versus France. So, I worked on this for a few years, like 2012, 13, 14, kind of through that time frame especially. And kickstarted it. And the idea for the game was kind of a tactical card game that really leveraged public domain imagery, artwork, paintings, basically from the 18th century. I really like that style of artwork, like is on the cover here, or portraits of different folks like that. And I just think that artwork is kind of charming, and I love that era of history. I think it's really an interesting period. That kind of great rivalry between Britain and France in that window of time. So anyway, I made that game about it. And in the last year or so, and I'm going to screw up the name, but I think it's Juegos Mosquete, or Mosquete, had basically, created this new version of the game. And they had sent me a copy of all the stuff. So I thought it'd be really fun to check it out and show you what it looks like. And I'll kind of give you my impression of it as well. So let's see, where should we start? I'll actually show like a few of the accessories first, just to get those out of the way. Kind of interesting. Like this one's got like a ship in it, custom ship, pretty cool. There's a metal coin set. So I had created a metal coin set when I made the game. These are pretty similar. There's different gold and silver options. Pretty neat, pretty nice stuff. Nicely done. There's a custom deluxe dice set. So you can see I'll have like faction-specific symbols with the dice. And one big change is my game was a two-player game, and this is quite different. This is like Jose and his team really laid out something that would be multiplayer, can accommodate more players. There's like solo also. There's a lot of scenario emphasis here, and I'll walk through some of that with you all, but it's pretty cool anyway. They have more factions incorporated. There's also these expansion packs. I won't spend a lot of time on these, but for example, you have like Carnatic Wars expansions. That's like India, subcontinent, warfare specific expansion material. So it's pretty cool. Actually, I'm going to do this next. So I was pretty excited about this. So the game 1750 Britain versus France was like, a layout, which it's kind of like a lot of like dual card games, right? If you play like Seven Wonders Duel or something like Magic the Gathering, where you have, each side kind of deploying a lot of its cards and they're, arrayed against each other on the table. Well, I never had like a board, right, with 1750. But what these guys had created is like a giant neoprene, mouse pad map for, arranging all the cards. So it's really cool, very beautiful, very nicely done product. That's super cool. Super cool. You've got like, I'll try to point out some things here. You've got like all the colony positions on the planet, and then you've got like your political objectives through here. And then you've got other cards to hold like battle deck cards and goods and all sorts of stuff. You have all sorts of placeholders for the different cards that are used in the game. So super cool. I remember a lot of people asking for something like that to help organize the cards. That's a terrific addition. You can see it's pretty big. That's always one thing I thought about was like, well, how big would that have to be? Because you're trying to pretty much have the table covered in content, right? So, well, they made a big mouse pad. So, yeah, that's what you got to do. So anyway, this is the Colonial 1700 to 1800 big box. And we got Jose Maria and artist to Victor Jose on the artistry. You can see they have some separate illustration here that they did with this edition. I see that they really still continue to add a ton of the 18th century artwork in there. So I think that's great. But I also think it's cool that they added illustration. I think that's a nice kind of, I don't know, just some variation with the product, that it was not purely the public domain artwork. It's nice to see some new artwork on there as well. So, so let's take a look at it. So there's all sorts of stuff. So you can see, like, here's the updated political objectives track. This is expanded somewhat from the edition that I created. Some of the artwork is the same, some is updated with different paintings being used. But there are a few new factions. I think there's like 4 more positions on here, if I'm not mistaken, than the original track. And then this is cool too. So what they do here is they made basically like a market, right? So you see that in different board games where you can still do like a random draw for like the 1 coin, which is the way it worked in the base game. But here there's also a track of like known options where could be cheap, or you can pay a premium. If the cards happen to be in that position, you really want them, then you can pay more to get, an assurance of getting what you want. So I think that's a terrific improvement on the original design. Very smart. So these are the couple of books that come in this. So you can see the rule book like that. And then there's a scenario book. And these are just like really terrific. Like the rule book, this is the scenario book. I'll start out with that. So this is pretty cool. Like in the base game rule book, I had like timelines on the left and right, well, on the front and back inside covers. I had like timelines for War of the Austrian Succession and the 7 Years' War. So they've kind of done like timelines here that are like wars themselves, right? So you've got Queen Anne's War or Anglo-Spanish War, War of Jenkins' Ear. So very nice, very kind of in keeping with the original layout. Same thing on that back cover where you've got those conflicts. But yeah, this is really interesting. You've got like these scenarios, and you can see they're like faction specific. So you can see the mixture of combatants involved in these different historical scenarios. So that's really cool that they've done a lot of rigorous work here, along with like historical context. So, Anglo-Dutch wars, they're given like background context on, origins of that conflict. So it's nice to see all that flavor. And then they'll give you that scenario setup with, like here's the appropriate colonies to array on the map to kind of reenact that conflict. So very cool. And I'm just pretty impressed with that. I know that once upon a time, Jose was asking me about, his continuing to iterate upon the game. And, I knew he was interested, but this is a lot more work than I thought was necessarily contemplated. I'll put it that way. So you can see here, like Spanish-Portuguese wars. You've got background context and the starting setup for that. And they got all sorts of stuff in here. Specific rules for the scenario, strategy tips. Wow. Very cool. All with, artwork from the period integrated. Here you got your shots fired at Lexington, right? All sorts of stuff. And I mean, they've got things in here that I'd never even heard of before. So it's kind of cool just in terms of, I expect I'll be able to actually learn a thing or two here too. Yeah, I mean, they're going into, Carnatic Wars history, some things that I don't have that much familiarity with. Very cool. Anyway, again, that's the scenario book. And then we got the rule book. This is definitely thicker than the rule book I created, and I'm going to suspect that it's probably a little more thorough, which is good. Get your game components listing here. And then you can see they've got different, graphics integrated throughout, but they still got that artwork kind of throughout too, so it's pretty cool. Definitely they made more use of iconography here, which I think is a good thing. Just trying to convey different meaning with icons arranged on the cards, and all sorts of different visual cues on how to resolve different things. Yeah, I'm just actually kind of taking this in for the first time too. This is cool. They got all the goods icons there. Very nice. Very nice. Vibrant. Yeah, they talk about your start of the game, drawing tactics cards from the deck, performing actions in colonies, political objective roles. That's pretty much the same layout, the same progression as the base game. Very cool. I love the artwork, guys. Great job on that. Really, really nice design work. Yeah, they got all the political benefits. They got movement step. See, they're just kind of working through different examples of how to mechanically resolve everything. So this is kind of a similar graphic to what we had in the base game, was kind of the pairings system for combatants, basically, the resolution of combats. Yeah, talk about income, end of the game, end of game scoring. That looks pretty familiar. Then we got a solo mode, the Pirate Republic. So now that was a request some time ago too, is to try to have some solo options for players who want that. So that's great to see. A lot of these things I was always interested in, but doing other things in life, I was not really wanting to invest a lot more time. So it's cool to see somebody take the base and build upon it, expand it a lot, and add all these different game modes. Wow, super cool. Okay, so that was the rule book there, and I'll just show you some of the other components from the big box. So here you got tokens. These look like really high quality in terms of printing, and just the quality of the stock is good. I know one challenge I had back when I produced the original game was the black ink in some cases got a little bit worn. I think something about maybe the manufacturing process, it wasn't completely perfect, and these look perfect to me. So that's very cool to see that the printing quality is so good. Here we've got player boards, just like in the base game. Although you can see there's more of them here, for the different factions. Here you got the Netherlands, the United States, and so on. That's very nice. Okay, and then these are faction specific boxes of content. So really neat looking. They've got a motto, and then it's obviously very clear, as to what is contained in each faction's box. You can see there's 6 of them in here for the different countries. And let's see. So just opening the French box here. Okay, so you got your colony cards here. Those look terrific. Kind of more of like a tarot-sized card. We've got commodities, and you're going to have, I'm sure, your battle deck cards are probably in here too. These are all, I'm just seeing commodities here, but it's going to be your battle deck content, and your goods would be in there. So overall, I don't know, I want to wrap this up, but just really it's cool for me to see this. I'm excited, to try it out, maybe to see, what say like solo gameplay looks like, or gameplay with a bigger group of people, maybe a 4-person game. I don't know, maybe I'll upload that at some point if we get to it. But yeah, I don't know. I just, I applaud Jose, Maria, your artists as well on, bringing this thing into existence. I know it's a lot of work. So, hats off to you. And yeah, looking forward to getting into some gameplay.